here together and say our hellos and just come together in circle, despite the fact that we're on a little square screen and lots of little squares, but we will form our circle and land here together. So I see we're coming from New York, Columbus, Ohio, Arlington, Mass, Winchester, Mass, Green Bay, Wisconsin, Hartford, Connecticut, beautiful springtime day in Chicago, Harlem, New York City, Madison, Wisconsin, Chicago, Philly, Maine, Boise, New York City, beautiful, Santa Fe, New Mexico, wonderful, Irvington, New York, just up the street from our Eileen Fisher headquarters, wonderful. So it's so great to be together. And just as a reminder, many of us have been coming together week after week. So a warm welcome if you have been joining us. I see many familiar faces. And a warm welcome to all of you who may be joining for the very first time. It's just a joy to be together and to connect. And often in this Women Together space, it's just a time for us to reconnect with ourselves and with each other. And often we do little practices. So, you know, instead of needing to kind of go into long, you know, hours and days of you know, deep work, we do a tiny practice to touch in, to remind ourselves that at any point during the day, we can reconnect, that we can reconnect to our purpose, our potential, or just to that deeper layer of who we are and where we're coming from. So to just begin that, I'll invite us into a little moment of stillness, and we can put our feet on the ground if that's available to you. Just connect in with the seat. So if you're sitting, if you're standing, whatever may be your stance today, just really feeling the feet connected to the floor. If that's something that's available to you, just really feel the feet, maybe extending the toes just a little bit, stretching them out, and just feeling the toes connected to the ground. You can put your hands onto your thighs and just push just a little bit, just push a little bit of energy into the legs. And perhaps allowing yourself to just feel a bit of uplift, feeling the sense of pushing into the hands, into the feet, into the ground. And from that, feeling a sense of uplift in the body. Tuning into the breath, lowering your gaze or closing your eyes, and just reconnecting. Following the breath as it moves in and out of the body. And as the breath moves in and out, feeling it perhaps moving up and down the body. So on an inhale, feeling the breath move down to the feet. And on an exhale, feeling the energy, the awareness, the breath moving up the body, up the spine, up to the crown of the head. And just feeling for a moment this vertical connection. Connection between the ground beneath us, the earth beneath us, and the space just above the head, where the head is connected to the sky. Just being in this moment here together, you can reconnect to the screen, reconnect to each other. And in this energy, welcoming yourself to the space, you could put one hand on the chest and just welcome yourself. Just hello, welcome, you're welcome here today. And then extend that welcome out to our Zoom friends. So seeing each other and connecting, perhaps taking in 4 boxes, just really, really taking in lovely beings on the screen. We can go on video. Now is the time to just allow ourselves to be seen, allow ourselves to see each other, just to feel each other here together in this circle. A warm, warm welcome. Wonderful. I love when we start to smile and wave at each other, because we can't not. It's like we walked into the room and saw our old friends. Hi, so good to see you. So even when we're, in Zoom and on these little boxes, that we can have this just shared welcoming, this shared connection to each other. So warm welcome to all. And then you could just type in the chat, what brought you here today? So what brought you here to today's session? I also see that we have some friends in from Hamburg, Germany, Oaxaca, Mexico, Vancouver, BC. So we're coming in from all over today, and it's wonderful to have all of us here connecting. So just what brought you here today? Perhaps it was the particular theme of today's session, or being with Amber Gray, who is our special guest. Wonderful. So, so good. So good to see everyone. And thank you for sharing. Dorian's here from Tucson, Arizona, the land of the Tohono, Odham, and Pascua Yaqui people. Thank you so much, Dorian. And it's so important for us to recognize the land that we're on and all those who've come before us. And so thank you for bringing that recognition in. Can never be too grounded. So wonderful to be back in this space after being away for 3 weeks. Welcome back, Nina. It's good to have you back. Returning to my body and connecting. I've not been here for a while and felt I could really use some connection and support. I'm so glad that we can be here and hold that for each other each week. So my weekly grounding, theme of session and connection, both and connection and feeling good. Interested to hear what Amber has to say. Needing to stop and be still. Well, I'm here because it's an anchor in my week. All these women, you, Antoinette, sweet, thank you. Really kind, all these wonderful reasons for being here today. Glad to see some of our international friends. A practice of showing up, being with people unmasked. Wow, wonderful. So there are just so many great reasons that we come together. And today, as with many of our practices, we're moving into a practice with Dr. Amber Gray. And excuse my congestion a little bit. I have fun allergies after my little cold. So so just to introduce Amber, I'm so excited to have her with us, and Amber is really a friend of a friend. So I'm really glad to have you with us, Amber, and a friend of one of our dear teachers who has been here with us in Women Together before. So if you don't know Amber, she's a trailblazer in the use of dance movement therapy with survivors of interpersonal, collective, and intergenerational trauma, particularly torture, war, and human rights abuses. Her expertise has been published in articles and chapters. She's done keynote addresses, professional collaborations, and presentations around the world. And she's really brought a lot of this work. A lot of our interest has been in polyvagal informed somatic and dance movement therapy. And she has this 23 years of experience of immersion in polyvagal theory. And it's something that I remember, Eileen and I had, and many of us had kind of explored a little bit to understand what is this that sort of, if we can access our nervous system, if we can access these points of connection, we can really address some of our reactive responses of fight, flight, and freeze. So it's so wonderful to have you here, Amber. It's so wonderful to do this dive in with you. And we've done a lot of embodied practice, and we just know the value in this community of really being in the body, listening to the body, waking up the body. So
Yes.
Thank you so much for being with us and sharing this practice for the next little bit here.
Well, thank you. Make sure I'm unmuting. Yes, thank you, Antoinette. And I also want to just thank Karen and Ella and Ethi, who I just met, who keeps us connected in this virtual space. I am speaking from Santa Fe, New Mexico, the unceded territory of the Tewa. And I just want to name that I'm speaking from where the earth is burning very intensely. So I'm bringing that here because it's part of what I'm carrying today. And I'd like to give, I'm going to share a series of what I call structured practices that evolved from my work into a flowing movement practice. Before we do that together, I want to share a little context. And now that I just heard you, Antoinette, I'll bring in a wee bit of polyvagal, although that's something that requires a fair amount of time to immerse quite thoroughly in. What I want to invite you all to do as I begin to share context to set up what we're going to do today is to invite yourself to continually, or as often as you feel it's helpful to you, shift towards comfort. And what I mean by that is physical comfort. One of the things, being at a screen, as much as many of us have learned to be at a screen, we may have adapted our body with some patterns. Mine is crossing my right leg over my left. As dumb as I know that is, I start to do that and torque my body, and it's like, and then suddenly I'm not comfortable. Shift your body towards comfort. Notice what you need to do that. Is there something that helps you ease some internal tension or pain, like resting a butt cheek down or uncrossing a leg? Getting a pillow behind your back so there can be external things that help as well. Anytime we shift towards comfort, we actually, I'll throw a polyvagal term in here, we enhance neuroception, Dr. Porges' term for our subcortical, our natural birthright ability to be guided by, I like to say the nervous system is really a process. I like to call it the constellation of our energy body. It's like following the stars. So when the stars are aligned, we're able to neurocept towards safety accurately. We can read the environment accurately, which means our stress and our distress and whatever has been with us that might keep us in states of elevation or defensiveness or fear or discomfort has eased. We're more true to ourselves. Anytime you give yourself permission to find a little more physical comfort, your internal climate changes and cues of increased safety start to travel from your belly to your brain. It might not change everything, but it might offer you, I call them micro empowerments, little moments of ease. That's how we build our resiliency. That's how we reconnect to our inherent resiliency. I don't want to say build it, it's there. It's there all the time. So always invitation to move towards comfort. As Antoinette said, my work has been with survivors of interpersonal and complex and ancestral historic traumas. What that means, and from a very multicultural perspective, in the United States, I travel a lot. And what that means is I've adapted my work as a dance movement therapist and somatic psychotherapist, which is body-based, and longtime yoga continuum teacher, which is a movement form that our shared friend that's how we met, gyrotonic. So I bring a lot of movement into this work because what my clients have taught me, and our collaboration, me and my clients, is what's created these practices I'll be sharing. They've taught me what has supported them to find a little more comfort in their bodies that experience a lot of discomfort all the time. In our lives, and especially in the last 2 years, we all may have experienced moments of distress, imbalance. And I want to emphasize imbalance. These practices come from my way of working, which is to help restore in my clients a sense of as much belonging, reconnecting to themselves and to the environment around them through center and balance as possible. One thing I'll say briefly, since a couple influences. So I'm trained as a dance movement therapist in many other movement practices. I work in a human rights context. My clients are my primary teachers and collaborators. Everything that I'm sharing has supported them. Dr. Porges has influenced my work, which is why there's a whole body of work that's polyvagal informed, as have many medicine teachers. So my ancestry is both white settler and Native American. And so I've had some wonderful medicine teachers who've also taught me the importance of grounding and embodiment in terms of expressing our connection to the world, to the environment, to the planet, to the earth. So everything I'm sharing today is influenced by all of that. One thing I'm going to invite you to do as I start to share the practices is to notice how you feel. Just notice how you feel right now. How we feel is an expression of our internal state. Our states shift all the time. I've got energy, I'm happy. Oh, I can't believe that happened. Gosh, oh, I'm frustrated. How did I do that, right? Oh man, what just happened? Oh, I feel really out of balance. Oh, I'm strong. I'm in my center now, right? When we're in states of wholeness or wellness, we can shift through states. And I like to categorize states in 3 ways. And this is polyvagal informed: centered, grounded, oriented states, contained states, energy, playful, movement, which can also be, I got to run. There's a little bit of fear, a little bit of anxiety, states, calm, relaxed, settled states. We shift through those states with some ease because the world is always changing. When we're experiencing a lot of stress, distress, if we're traumatized, a lot of fear, in the absence of enough safety to keep us fluid and whole, the states become, oh, I'm always stressed out, or I'm completely withdrawn. I'm not even engaged with life. We tend to move between extremes. We don't fluidly shift. We're off balance, can't find center. Notice how you feel now. It's an expression of your physiological state. What's going on inside? And I invite you to keep tracking how you feel as we begin these practices. Again, just noticing how you feel. As we begin these practices, I'm going to be shifting from sitting to standing. We're going to do a centering practice. I'm just being mindful of time. A grounding to earth and sky practice that is very much medicine and polyvagal informed, and then a little time for free movement. All of you is welcome, whatever you're feeling, wherever you are in this moment. Camera on, camera off. If it's too much movement, not enough movement, adapt it for you. Shift towards comfort. Follow your states. Doesn't feel good and you don't want to be in and not feeling good, do something that maybe helps you feel a little bit better. Adapt it. So what I'm going to invite everyone to do, I'm sitting now, and this first practice can be done in any way. When we shift to the grounding practice, I'm going to stand. I like to do it standing. If that doesn't work for you, stay seated. And I'm going to use language, hopefully, clearly to guide both seated and standing, and hopefully not get too complex. Seated, as comfortable as you can be right now, noticing how you feel. I invite you to find your center. Find your center now. It may or may not be anatomical. Our center moves. We're energetic beings, we're physical beings. So our center can move. Find your center wherever it is. Settle into that. And if it feels comfortable, I invite you to place a hand on your center. Just for a moment, just place a hand on your center wherever it is. And notice this. When we place a hand, we introduce feedback. We've touched ourselves. That sends a stream of information into our body. So what is your centered place receiving from you right now? Your hand is literally through your own embryology, an extension of your heart. So what are you offering to your own center with your own touch? And adjust your touch as needed. I also invite you to notice what your center is offering to your hand and therefore to your heart. What do you sense in there? What do you feel? It might literally be grumbling in your tummy. It might be heat, a warmth or a sadness, or something might come up. A memory, an image, an ally, all kinds of things can come up. So just notice what comes up. So you're in a reciprocal exchange with yourself in your own center. Just stay here for a moment longer. This is a practice that can extend longer than I'm teaching it, as again, in my offering today, I'm wanting to offer several different options because there's always something that works for us in the moment and something that doesn't. In the future, if you'd like to try this centering practice, another thing that you can do is hum your favorite love song or lullaby into your center. Hum your favorite love song or lullaby into your center. It's a lovely centering practice. And sound, we are actually mostly water, and sound waves travel through water, so you will actually shift your state if you do that. When you're ready, take your hand off your center. We're going to shift into grounding. And I'll just say, as we shift into that, sometimes our center moves when we do that practice, and you may explore multiple centers. Now I'd like to guide you through grounding to earth and grounding to sky. I'm going to stand and make a simple adjustment. I'm guessing we'll be here 5 to 6 minutes. So know that in terms of your own comfort and ability to stand. If you want to sit, you're welcome to sit. Grounding is often thought of as earth-based. We can ground to sky. And I so loved what Antoinette said in the beginning about our connection to sky and earth. We can ground to earth and to sky. So first, as you're standing, get as comfortable as you can. Place your feet in a way that feels supportive and notice your weight. And what do I mean by weight? Weight is our physical presence. It's the physicality of our presence. It's not how much we weigh, it's the physicality of our presence. It's accurate neuroception. It's wholeness. So notice your weight, your sense of being here. If that seems abstract, what I invite you to do is notice all the parts of your body that are in contact with the floor or the chair if you're sitting. So it'd be your butt, back of your legs, or your feet. And is your weight evenly distributed? My right foot is always kind of seeking ground because of injuries there. So you may have places in your body that are kind of going, yeah, I know the ground's there, but I'm not quite settled. My toe's not dropping, my butt's not dropping, right? My knee's not dropping, whatever it is. So how much support your body can find through these points of contact leads us to our physical presence, our weight. Take a moment with that, just feeling your weight. Feeling the support of the earth a few layers down from your chair or your floor. Feeling ground. Feeling ground. Ground is an energetic connection with the earth. It's not mechanical. It's an energetic connection with the earth. Now here's a simple grounding practice. People often ground sometimes by inhaling and exhaling and pressing their whole foot into the earth. And you can do that a few times if you want. You inhale and you exhale and you push your whole foot down. And notice what happens to your spine, especially your lower spine when you do that. It tends to. Now, we're all different. We all have different shaped spines and muscle tonicity and areas of tension or freedom. But when we push, it tends to put our sacrum into an extended place, which is the opposite of sitting. When we sit, our sacrum is kind of curled and squashed, tends to stretch it upward, which is great because you're stretching the muscles. I'm going to teach you a form of grounding that actually puts the sacrum in a place between flex and extend. That's more, it's called neutral, but it's a fluid moving neutral. And that actually promotes vagal tone. So I'm only sharing this because polyvagal was introduced. Vagal tone means you're moving towards wholeness. It's a scientific measure of moving towards wholeness. It's the unscientific way to say it. So, weight and ground. Inhale and gently contract 3 muscle groups. Your butt, let me shift this so you can see me. Your butt, your abductors, the side of your legs, and your hamstrings, the back of your legs. Inhale and gently contract those. Gentle means 10 to 20% of your strength. Exhale and let that go. Try that rhythm a few times. Inhale, gently contract those 3 muscle groups. Exhale and let it go. That's the first part of this practice. When we contract muscles while we're breathing, when we do muscle contracting release with our breath, we oxygenate our body. We increase oxygen saturation. That will also shift how we feel. It can be very calming, settling, and connecting. Now, the next time you exhale, if you're standing, you're going to press just your heels into the earth while you're releasing those muscle groups. Just your heels. Just your heels. You don't have to flip your toes up. It's more of an energetic. You're going to inhale, do that gentle contract, exhale, just your heels. If you're sitting, you can do the same with your feet. If both feet are placed on the earth, you can also use your sit bones, the bony protrusions in your butt. You can also press your sit bones into the chair. If you're sitting, that's easier. Do that a few times. Inhale, contract. Exhale, press heels into earth. If you're sitting, sits bones, butt into chair. And just notice if your sense of support and weight and ground shifts. And again, notice if there's any difference in your sacrum or your spine. This tends to open the pathway of the spine, which is really important for something called Enteroception, which is, I'm going to unscientifically call it the cousin of neuroception. It's our ability to sense ourself inside. The spine is a pathway of interoception, of our inner wisdom, inner knowing. So just keep doing this. Inhale, contract, exhale, release, gently press. This is grounding to earth. Restoring our energetic connection to the earth. The human connective tissue, the white filmy layer that surrounds your red voluntary muscles, is the same frequency. It's about 6.8 hertz. It's a slow wave as Mother Earth. That's why we're doing a gentle contract. If you contract really hard, you get into your muscles. If you do it gently, you actually work with that connective tissue and you connect more energetically with the Earth Mother. Do this a few more times and then pause and just notice your sense of weight and support and ground, and notice if it's shifted. I'm just checking our time. Notice if it's shifted. It might have gone on too long for you. It might not have been long enough. I am aware of time. So I want to shift right into grounding to earth. grounding to sky, sorry, grounding to sky. I'm going to invite you to quickly notice any tension in your chest, your jaw, your neck, your shoulders. Especially if we sit a lot, work a lot, stress, we often have a lot of tension here. That pathway, when that's really tight, our pathway up to sky energy can be obstructed. This is a very simple practice. What you're going to do is you're going to clasp your hands gently and you're going to put them above your head like this. I'm going to be here just to show you what you're doing. So but keep your hands here. Opposite of what we just did. You're going to inhale with your arms like this. And on the exhale, on the first exhale, give yourself a good pull. Just pull, but don't pull your arms apart. And feel the squeeze in your arms and your shoulders. Inhale again. And on your next exhale, pull. It's a good pull. Inhale. On your third exhale, let your arms come apart and float down. And just notice if there's any shift in the tension and holding patterns that can happen in your upper body. We only ever do 3 breaths. One set is those 3 breaths. Let's do a second set together, and this time do it in your own time. The inhale is just an inhale. The exhale is that pull, and wherever your third exhale occurs, because we all breathe in our own authentic rhythm, wherever your third exhale occurs, you let your arms come down. I like to say this practice should only be done 3 times. If you do it more than 3 times in a row, we tend to get more effort in our muscles. Again, we're working to liberate the connective tissue, to restore our natural wave so we connect to earth and sky. So if you want to do a 3rd round, please do. Whenever you feel done, after you do that last release of your arms, I invite you, if you want, just to feel your ground to earth, your ground to sky, the connection in between your spine, your torso, and just begin to move freely. Just begin to move freely. Maybe you do some free dance, maybe you do a little stretch, maybe you go into a yoga asana. But after grounding to earth and sky, a little free movement exploration. I love to do this with music. So if in the future you practice it, I encourage you to bring in music. And if you know that you're feeling kind of grouchy and low energy or something, and you want, you know that I need a little more energy, play energetic music. If you know that you're kind of amped up, play a little calming music. And whenever you feel complete with moving freely, and that free movement, what it does is it integrates the neural pathways, the neurological messaging that just happened. So anytime we do a new movement experience, we teach our nervous system actually creates new neural pathways. That's what neuroplasticity is, if you've heard of that term. Bring your movement to a pause. Take a moment to notice, weight, contact, support, groundedness to earth. Tension, how do I feel now with my jaw and neck? How connected is my rise up and being supported by sky right now? How connected am I? Notice your heart. The grounding to sky practice very intentionally works the deltoids and the rhomboids. Deltoids are related to the lungs in applied kinesiology, rhomboids to the liver. So it helps shift grief and anger states. You're also working the muscles around the sternum and the chest, so it gently, ever so gently, opens the heart. This practice opens the heart. An open heart is a balance of courage and vulnerability. The world is not always a predictable or easy place, so we want it open just enough. My teacher who taught this to me was a Buddhist monk. I've adapted it, but She referenced it as a gentle opening of the heart. Ground to earth, ground to sky, moving to free up the spine. Check in with those baselines again. How grounded do I feel? And then take a moment to rest wherever you are. A breath and a rest. Let go of tracking, let go of paying attention, and just rest in your body for a moment. Rest is when we integrate new experience and new neural pathways, and they become a permanent part of our inner wisdom, our inner knowing. So that when we're able to enterocept again, to listen to ourselves, we have even more wisdom. So thank you very much for that, for inviting me into the space. I hope that practice was those practices, was moving towards comfort, centering, ground to earth, ground to sky, and a little free movement to open up the space in between. All of them can be done individually, together. I don't want to stop moving either, and I want to honor our time. So do it later and add some music and play. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Amber. That's wonderful. And I feel, it's just scratching the surface. So I'm so glad that you were able to join us. And what we'll do now is, as we always do, is for those of us in Zoom, is we'll turn to each other and share with one another what shifted. So share your name, where you're coming from. Perhaps you felt a little release of tension. Perhaps your body feel something started to feel more open or move, and just notice, just practice noticing together, because as we're in this space, in this circle that we've created together, there's an opportunity to do this individual practice and to notice and see what's happening and what the patterns are with each other. So share your name, where you're coming from, and the shift that you had. And we'll just go into breakouts for about 15 minutes. So I know it's a bit shorter, but please share with each other. And just remember that we don't know what the other person had for breakfast this morning, let alone all of their life experiences. So just really knowing that this practice may have affected each of us in very different ways, even though it's a few short practices here. So either way, just make space for each other. Enjoy the time together. We'll see you back in about 15 minutes, and we'll be here with Amber. Thanks, everyone. Have fun. And thanks to those of you on YouTube